So without further ado, let's dive into our first question. What are some of the common pain points when it comes to rewards and recognition that HR leaders are hoping to solve in 2025 and beyond? And I would say that the reason we're starting with this question is to really build that foundation because whatever happens in the future should be for the better and addressing the problems that are happening right now. So Jason, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Becca. So I'm gonna share and frame a couple of problems that I'm just gonna set them up in the introduction, and I think we're gonna be talking about how the future of recognition will be solving these shortly. So one of the most common pain points I hear from both employees and managers is they just want more participation from their teams, from their organizations. Said a little bit differently, some managers, for example, or some employees are just natural cheerleaders. That I think I've kind of got a little bit of that in me, I think. Um, and then some people need prompts and reminders to participate in a recognition program. And when you're thinking about the future of recognition, it's really important to not lean on a manual program because manual programs typically have low utilization. They're fraught with errors. They do things like where an employee might hit a 30 or 40th anniversary and that gets overlooked. The biggest problem, one of the problems it's worthwhile chatting about is getting more employee participation. Another common pain point is companies try to run these programs in-house on a manual program. And Becca, you and I have actually done a webinar on that topic. And the stat we saw from SHRM was that roughly 69% of manual programs actually fail because they are clunky, hard to use, low utilization. And then a really cool and emerging trend for us is, as I mentioned up front, employee recognition's a really powerful lever to drive up employee engagement and lower turnover. And said a little bit differently, recognition drives ROI, drives results for companies. And those are kind of three common pain points or goals I hear from HR leaders and employees. But I would also love to hear from Rod and Anna to hear what their thoughts are on this.
Of course. I can go next. One common pain point that I do see is companies relying on just one form of recognition. Maybe it could be just years of service or the occasional manager-led shout out. But today's workforce expects a little bit more. Like a one-dimensional approach just doesn't cut it anymore. Employees want recognition that's timely, meaningful, personalized, and also delivered in a variety of ways. Same goes with the rewards. In your internal recognition platform, in our own internal recognition platform, I'll give you an example. I used to redeem Uber gift cards or gas gift cards for my car. Super practical. But now we have an Amazon integration, and I just used every single one of my points for things that I actually need at home or my wife. Toilet paper, for example. I know it sounds small, but it's actually super, super practical, right? But it's easy, it's relevant, and it's instantly useful, right? So that's the kind of everyday impact that recognition and these sort of programs can have. When recognition is limited to a single channel or just a static rewards catalog, we will miss that opportunity to connect with the people. And that's what truly matters with these sort of programs. Recognition should be human, not transactional. And if you ask me like what the ideal setup is, make recognition accessible to everyone, managers, directors, C-suite, employees, everybody. It doesn't even have to include any sort of monetary recognition. Layer the awards program, structure it accordingly to KPIs or goals. Personalize the experience, like swag, for example, this amazing t-shirt, and then offer a diverse rewards catalog. You can go beyond the swag, gift cards, tangible items, experiences, personal growth opportunities, and even fun things like the CEO can send you coffee. Wink, wink, Jason.
Or call your mom, Rodrigo. I'll do that if I give me your, just say what a great colleague and teammate you are. So yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to point out that Tess was saying that agreeing with your toilet paper comment, it's like, so useful. It's the most but it's still the most commonly forgotten thing. So imagine you could just hop onto the Amazon and get your forgotten toilet paper. That's awesome. Anna.
Yeah. Awesome. Rod. I agree with all that was just said by both Jason and Rod, but in adding to it, there are a couple more things that comes to my head that I think that HRs of today struggle with. One is the burnout and well-being, and the second one being DEI and inclusion. Burnout used to be seen as a personal issue up until 2023, if I'm right, but not anymore, right? It's now officially business risk, a cultural red flag. And I think the same goes with DEI fatigue as well. A lot of organizations, they did big initiatives post 2020, but 5 years later, employees are still asking, is there anything actually changing? So I read the statistics somewhere, 77% of employees are burnt out, and almost half of the people are considering quitting. It's not the long hours that they're putting into work. It's not the inclusion initiatives that's in place that's not proving any success, but it's beyond that, right? It's the feeling of invisible. It's feeling disconnected. It's feeling underappreciated. Feeling valued is directly linked to mental resilience and retention. So it is extremely important that leaders of a company invest into a very, very good recognition program that actually helps the team embed recognitions into their daily rhythm. And it's just not one special occasion thing. So Bucketlist does that very greatly because we are integrated into all of the collaboration tools where employees spend most of their time on a day-to-day basis, making recognition so much easier that they don't have to leave one platform to go and recognize into another platform. So it becomes a habit. It becomes very easy. So DEI, burnout, or these are the other two things that I think that the HRs are facing today.
If I could double down on that burnout comment, Anna, like I think that's such a great insight. In my experience, I can't count the number of times I've had senior leaders like CEOs of large companies or COOs of large companies reach out to us after they lose an A player. A classic example is somebody who like a VP of sales who is working, 60, 70 hours a week for months on end and nobody ever said thank you. And they get burnt out, they get fed up, they're producing amazing results, that person leaves. And then the executive's like, oh my God, how do I fill this hole in our organization? And it doesn't have to be a VP of sales. It can be a fantastic customer success person, a great software engineer. So yeah, I just want to double down on that comment that we see that all the time. And the shame of it is like companies don't have to wait till they lose these great employees. They can start recognizing people now. Like they can fix that problem up front. So
absolutely, yeah. So many a times we actually see recognition as a performance tool, Jason, in situations like this where we are dealing with burnout and DEI inclusion. I see, if I can say, I see recognition more as a proactive wellness intervention and the most scalable version of engagement. Yeah.
Love that. So now that we've talked about some of the problems, and I've heard you say, needing to make it easy, needing to demonstrate ROI, burnout, DEI, let's get into sort of some of the key topic areas we want to get into. So the first topic we wanted to talk about was AI and automation. And so how are those two things transforming recognition, and how can it help address some of the problems that you've just brought up in the first question? Anna, did you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, happy to kick this off. Of course, we are in the era of AI and everything has to be AI, doesn't it? AI and automation are definitely and completely reshaping how recognition is delivered. It is moving us from a very traditional, reactive, and manual programs to a very proactive and personalized experiences. So instead of waiting for managers to remember to recognize someone, AI can suggest context-aware messages, making it easier for leaders and peers to express appreciation more meaningfully, surface those recognition moments automatically, and identify those recognition gaps, such as what departments or demographics that are under-recognized, helping drive equity and inclusion. So anyways, there is so much more that AI can do. And Bucketlist has started moving into the AI space. And I'm very, very thoroughly excited about this. And one of the features that we particularly are proud of at Bucketlist, and we made a recent launch, is the AI content moderation. We use AI there to automatically screen all of the recognition messages that a user submits to check for language. When I say check for language, it's basically to make sure that your recognition messages does not include any hate speech or harassment or language that might be against any DEI principles. The goal of that feature is not to police every word within the recognition, but to make sure that every recognition is tied to the core value of the organization. If AI finds anything different, then it raises a red flag, and it raises a flag for manual verification there. So if you see the version 2.0 of that feature, where we will be working eventually, will introduce AI-powered suggestions, and that will fall broadly into the umbrella of something called as an idea that we're floating within Bucketlist called Coach AI. I love this name, and I'm sure you all like it. It's very catchy. It's very trendy. What happens within the 2.0 feature is the AI will still continue to analyze the recognition messages, but also providing some real-time guidance as to what a good recognition will look like. And for all those people who have that initial hesitation of writing a good recognition, this tool, I promise, will be your best friend very soon, as it will help you cross over that hump, just like a coach does on the playing field, or a teacher does at school, or a mentor at work. From where we are today and where we are broadly looking into the future of this Coach AI is all about understanding patterns. Using deeper analytics and AI, we would want to analyze how people work together. Who do they collaborate more on, and what context do they collaborate more, so that we can reduce that recognition gaps and surface those recognitions moments automatically, and making this whole recognition field a level playing field for everyone. So I am extremely excited to explore more AI for Bucketlist.
No, that's awesome. And I think Naomi in the chat is saying too that, no, just super glad that you're being very clear about how AI in recognition, it's going, beyond just automatically sending recognitions willy-nilly and taking the humanity out of it. And so I think Rod, you actually wanted to touch on that point, right? About
Yeah.
humanness. I'll let you speak on that.
The humanity part, that's the spicy part. But yeah, as everybody is aware, AI in recognition is still relatively new, and reactions are definitely mixed. Some people are excited, others are cautious, and that's completely fair, right? But here's the key: it's AI isn't here to replace recognition; it's here to help us do it better. I actually believe AI and automation can make recognition more human when used intentionally, right? It will remove friction. Because think about this, and let's be honest, you look at a spreadsheet with all the recognitions happening to try and identify a special moment. It's very hard to find that. But AI can do these sort of things. It will prompt people to give recognition they meant to give, but forgot. It helps HR teams scale meaningful culture building moments across time zones department without losing the soul of the actual recognition. Used right, AI can support the emotion behind a recognition. It doesn't replace it at all. The intent, the meaning, the human connection, that's still ours to own. And I'll give an example that I shared earlier in the session this morning. Apologize for repeating it, but a client once told me it takes them 30 minutes to just write a recognition. And I completely understand that. I've been there too. English is my second language. My first language is Spanish. So sometimes finding the right words, it takes time, AI helps with that. It makes it faster, easier, and still meaningful. I use it all the time. And you can see my recognitions, they're very human, they're very emotional driven. So just like the internet once felt scary, and now it's part of our everyday lives, AI will become something we rely on, but it will not replace the human connection. It will strengthen it.
No, I love how you're framing AI as like a tool, right? Another tool in our kit to help us do better, be more impactful, and hopefully more efficiently, just because I know everyone's so busy. We have so much things to do. And so don't want recognition to become a burden where we're like, can't do it. It's too much. Sorry, Jason, I think you were going to say something. Go ahead.
No, to be frank, I think Rodrigo and Anna nailed it. They did a really good job describing the power and impact of AI. The only thing I might layer into there, and this is just to piggyback off of some of the things that both Anna and Rodrigo just said. Another really powerful use case, and it might sound obvious at first, is like the idea of content moderation, where that comes up a lot, and like the true power of it is organizations with frontline workers. So a lot of times maybe you're a restaurant or with like 1,000 employees, or maybe you're a hotel with a few hundred different locations, or maybe even a hospital with 65,000 employees, like one of our clients. Yeah, people out in the field and management want to empower recognition, but there's always the fear that you might have these young hourly workers who may use inappropriate language at work, and so they shut down something like peer-to-peer because of that fear. And that's unfortunate because a peer-to-peer program is one of the most effective ways to drive up utilization in a platform and to increase employee engagement. But with AI, you can just open it up to your employees and have a bit of peace of mind, knowing that we're going to automatically catch inappropriate language. We're going to catch passive aggressive language. So from the get-go, companies and leadership can have peace of mind to launch a large and very impactful organization. And that was just one example to build off of what Anna and Rodrigo were saying.
Mhm. Tess in chat is just saying that AI is a phenomenal tool that's helping us, to not miss birthdays, not to miss important milestones. I know we talk a lot about consistency when it comes to rewards and recognition. And so if you're doing something like birthdays for everyone who wants it, of course, if they don't want it, that's a different story that we definitely want to respect. It just really sucks to be the person that got missed, right? And I think all of you have told me stories too of clients you've worked with or stories you've heard where that's definitely happened. And so it's nice to have tools that can help us not make those human errors. Amazing. So I think you both, or all three of you, have touched on the idea of, making sure recognition is scalable. You might be working with large companies with thousands of employees. And so a big challenge too is connectivity, right? Retaining the connectivity of recognition. And so what is the secret to scaling recognition in a way that encourages that connectivity? And perhaps how can we utilize some of these tools in the future? Jason, do you want to start?
Sure, I'm happy to kick things off. So I'll share some of the most impactful programs that scale well, both nationally and globally. One of the programs I've seen a huge amount of success with is peer-to-peer and manager-to-peer core value-based recognition. So a lot of times you might have a large, even multinational company. And one thing that does stay fairly consistent across different geographies is the core values of a company, which makes sense. Like the core values are kind of like the mission and core values of a company are kind of like the soul or foundation of I think all great organizations. And when you roll out a peer-to-peer program, and you make it mandatory for people to recognize one another for living the values, that'll create a lot of awareness around the values, and employees will feel more connected to the mission, vision, and values, which increases employee retention. It drives up employee engagement as well. Two other kind of interesting ideas that make programs scale really well is a lot of times organizations, especially bigger ones, you might do quarterly OKR or goal setting sessions. You can align your rewards and recognition program to your quarterly goals. And then lastly, something that we've recently rolled out is rewards catalogs by industry. For example, maybe you're a healthcare company or a hospital, and you're looking for good ideas and ways to recognize staff. Inside of our platform, we now have a hospital or healthcare rewards catalog, and it's built off of all the knowledge and insights of other hospitals that we work with. And so just for example, there's a patient care award, there's safety awards, there's community outreach awards. And the intent behind this is to allow so you don't have to reinvent the wheel when rolling out a recognition program. We're here to provide you a menu of ideas that you can choose from, and you can launch really easily inside your program. But those are my thoughts on building a scalable recognition program. Anna, what are your thoughts?
To me, on the question that Becca just asked, scaling recognitions effectively means just not increasing the volume of recognitions without any purpose, right? Like you have to increase it with a meaning, which means that you're ensuring that your recognitions are inclusive, that everyone is seen. It's cross-functional, it's breaking the silos, and it's always aligned with values and business goals. And how could you measure that? Analytics they're very, very powerful here. Like analytics can reveal how you can scale these recognitions in a very meaningful way. Analytics can reveal which departments or teams are over or under recognized. For example, this is predominantly true across many of the organizations. And if somebody says no, please don't believe them. Engineering team gives a lot of recognitions, and this is true. They give a lot of recognitions, but they do it only within their own teams. They seldom receive or give recognitions outside of their teams. So if you see here, the problem is not giving recognitions because there's good volume of recognitions. The problem here is connectivity gap. So how are you able to fill that gap? So analytics is a very good way of scaling recognitions because you cannot do something better if you're not measuring it. So using analytics, you can increase the volume of recognitions by both visibility and by connectivity. And Bucketlist has a great analytics tool where we are also measuring the success of the program through surveys that we are integrated with. So companies can use the survey tool, they can run more surveys and understand where there is a recognition gap, and they can keep scaling the volume of the recognitions more meaningfully.
And
Rod,
I
what do you think?
No, I'm just glad, Anna, that you brought up the analytics because I'm actually going to share an example later on about this. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. Scaling recognition globally, nationally, I think it's all about balance. You want consistency in your message, but flexibility in the delivery. We've worked with global teams across the world where we're automated different rules, budgets by country or even city based on what makes sense locally. And that includes factoring things like a cost of living. $50 in the US is completely different to $50 in India. That's why many of our customers implement point parity for like a cost of living index, for example. And I'll give you a very specific example that's it's actually very interesting. A customer from Puerto Rico, some employees lived in very remote areas where big box retailers like Amazon or any Walmart or anything was not accessible. But interestingly, small local shops did accept Apple Pay. So the solution, we help them enable a gift card option that supports Apple Pay. Simple, but incredibly effective. Those are the kind of things that sometimes are lost when you design these sort of programs and how you could scale successfully. These are the kind of details that matter when building a global or even a national program, right? It's not just about offering the rewards, it's making sure those rewards and the recognition are accessible, relevant, and meaningful to everyone, everywhere.
Sounds like that particular example, they were so intentional about the way they wanted to offer the reward and make sure that no matter where their employees were, they felt that they were included in being felt that they were being rewarded. It's not an awesome example.
Yeah.
So with all of the changes that you've all just mentioned, coming to recognition, what do you think companies should watch out for? Does anyone want to start this one?
I can kick off. There are three things that immediately comes to my mind, Becca, what the company should watch for today and going into the future. The HR leaders or the champions who launch the program, they have to make sure that recognition is just not becoming a box to check, right? Like when recognition feels generic or obligatory, it's going to lose its impact. It's going to become very overwhelming, and nobody is going to really have that coming in every day, okay, I have to give a recognition, and they're not going to have a meaningful recognition, right? It's just going to be a checkbox, and it's not going to have any impact on the culture that you want to try to build within an organization. So a study by Gallup actually found that only 26% of employees strongly agree that recognitions they receive are meaningful. It's very sad. It's only 26% of the employees, they agree that they receive meaningful recognitions. So let's not make recognitions just a checkbox thing. And even our guest from Beekeeper yesterday said the same thing. So let's make recognitions more meaningful and not a quarterly checkbox thing, right? It creates more impact when people take the time to articulate a recognition message, think through what the good the employee or the person who deserves that recognition have done and put that human touch to that recognition, it has a great impact to it. Second thing is over automation. Yes, Rodrigo and we spoke about AI and how things are going to help. AI is going to help in the future, but also Rod made a very good point that AI will be good only if it's used right. So you don't want to over automate or over engineer anything. It's important we use AI, but we use it in the right way. Over engineering a recognition or giving out just system generated shout outs without putting that human touch to it will not have any kind of an impact, and it will come down tone deaf. There's another statistics that from WorkHuman, the report that was released in 2023. It shows that recognition tied to specific actions and values increases engagement by 4x over generic price. So it's very, very important we take that time to write a very engaging and a very human expressive recognition. Last but not the least, unintended bias. There is a reason why a company takes the step to launch a recognition program. So let's never forget the purpose of that initiative. So recognitions can reinforce workplace inequalities if it's not monitored properly. So let's not launch it and put it back in the back burner. Rather, let's make that program being used more often or a daily basis. It's an evolving program, and always understand why the program was launched. And it is with all that intention to build that great culture, and we keep moving forward. So these are the three things that came to my mind right away. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely have some overlapping comments. I'd probably say something to watch out for is one size fits all approach doesn't work anymore. Increasingly, workforces are really diverse, and a generic solution will typically miss the mark. So avoid the generic platforms, avoid the generic programs. But then on the other end of the spectrum, the magic that I see is when you provide a really deeply personalized recognition that matters to somebody, like, and then you pair that with a deeply personalized reward. And personalization is important. And maybe in the case of Rodrigo, it's giving him some toilet paper. Or maybe in the case of I work with a fellow named Anthony. He always wanted to go on a flight lesson or learn to fly, so we sent him for an introductory flight lesson. And understanding what matters to people will make the recognition way more impactful when it's deeply personalized to whatever matters to them. One of my favorite questions to ask people in meetings is like, what do you love to do? What's on your bucket list? And then if you can then reward them with that bucket list, and the bucket list items don't have to be big. They can be, maybe it's a mom who wants a day off and they want to take their son or daughter to go to the spa with them. Like, and if you can make that dream come true, man, that person you'll make a lifelong memory, and that employee will tell those stories over the dinner table and to their friends. So you'll create a great employer brand. You'll create a lot of loyalty, and most importantly, I think you just take insanely great care. You're doing a good job as a leader. You're taking great care of your people. And then briefly, the one other thing to be really careful of is infrequent recognition. I mentioned this up front. If you're recognizing your staff quarterly or yearly and that's it, like that program's not a success. So don't lean on just milestone programs. Weave in elements like a peer-to-peer program, spot bonuses that'll drive up utilization, and you'll see a lot more success. Those are my two insights. Rodrigo, anything to add?
Yeah, before I share, I'm actually a little bit scared. The nugget that people will take away is that I love toilet paper, but side note. Side note. Yeah. So things that companies should watch out for. One of the biggest mistakes I see is designing the program around what the program owner wants instead of what employees actually want or need. The most successful programs are shaped by the employee insights, asking the employees what they want and what they need. That should guide everything. The tech you choose, the workflows you implement, how simple or complex the experience should be. I've seen great programs lose momentum because they were over-engineered. Like, for example, an award with a nomination process, it had 10 steps for the nomination process. No one was going to complete that, right? So a simple rule, keep it simple, keep it human, and most importantly, listen to your people. Their feedback it's going to be that the blueprint for building something that truly works.
Amazing. Jason, actually wanted to go back to that thing you were sharing about giving, rewarding people with the things that matter to them. I last year took my family to a local pizza restaurant. I think I showed you the pictures before, but locally, if you live in Vancouver, you'll know there's this pizza place that's known for having it's crazy. It's like lobster pizza, caviar pizza, and it's like a crazy price tag on them. And so usually I wouldn't go up like, yeah, let's for dinner, let's like go for that lobster pizza. But because I was able to use my Bucketlist reward to like go for it, I took my family. And it was an experience that none of us had. We shared it for the first time. There was a seagull who was trying to also steal our pizza from us, but you know what? We didn't give him any. We just ate our pizza. And to this day, it's been like a year and a half. My family still says, "Oh yeah, do you remember that time that your company treated us for pizza?" And so it's just so memorable and just it's gonna stick with our family forever. We've talked about it since, and my parents want to go back. So maybe this year we'll try to get.
That's a great story, Becca. What was your favorite pizza?
We just tried one because they're actually pretty hefty, and the one we got was had like lobster on it, it had prawns on it, it had like pieces of salmon.
Huge
It was
pizza. Wow.
wild.
I could see why the seagulls were circling in that moment.
And the seagulls were so large by the pier over there. I feel like lots of people get pizza, they'll see the seagulls, maybe feed them because they get scared of the seagulls retaliating or something. But no, it was delicious. Highly recommend if you're ever in the area.
Love it.
But anyways, I thought about pizza and I forgot I was driving this conversation. There's like another question I should be asking, but thank you for bearing with me. And now let's talk about analytics when it comes to recognition. And I know you alluded to this prior, so I'd love to talk about that in more detail. How does data often tell the story? And I know you mentioned prior that you can't do something better if you're not measuring it. So I would love to hear your thoughts on analytics and recognition.
Yeah, as I said, I still hold true to that statement. You can't do something better if you're not measuring it. And analytics is like a Bible, right? It gives you a very transparent, a blueprint of what the organization is moving towards, like be it, as I just said, be it the volume of recognitions, um, what team is being underappreciated or overappreciated, who is being recognized, who is not being recognized, how each team interact with each other. So analytics can do so much more, and it can fill those gaps of recognition, and it can surface those moments of recognitions automatically without having to be stalled. So with more AI and with more recognition, we are not going to be dependent for something great to happen and then reactively give a recognition message. Rather, the analytics is going to help us be more proactive and surface those moments of recognition even before, more so on the predictive analysis side is what I'm saying, to go ahead and give that recognition and set that culture, great culture within an organization so people can perform better, engage more, and reduce those turnover and attrition period and everything. And also, as I said, within Bucketlist, to tie that to that, yes, of course, we have analytic reports and everything, the redemption reports, the recognition reports and everything. But to top of it, we are also having a survey tool where our customers can make good use of it, send surveys within the organization and understand how their employees are performing within an organization. How do they feel about the recognition program? How do they feel about their work? How do they feel about their workplace, which will actually give the employees a true blueprint of what program they have launched and how to enhance the program and how to keep the employee satisfaction at its highest. So analytics is just amazing. It's very transparent, and we have to use it in the right way. Yeah. Rod?
Way.
Rod, your 2 cents.
Yeah. So analytics data and how does it really drive engagement? I'll share a very specific example that we recently uncovered on a business review, and it's about sales teams. I feel like it's a great case study to talk about. In one of our business reviews, we identified that the sales teams had very low engagement, and that was traced back to a lack of recognition. With a deeper analysis, including AI, reporting, and analytics, we did identify that across almost every customer, sales teams, the engagement tend to be low. And it makes sense because of three key factors. They're already incentivized through commissions. They operate independently on their own, so peer recognition is less natural, and the pace is extremely fast. So recognition isn't top of mind. So with this customer, we restructured the program in order for the solution to not force the solution, but actually to reframe it. And how we did this was gamifying the experience through a feature that we have called Achievable Awards that employees can claim themselves when they can complete a step of a process, a training or something, and incentivize the behaviors that led to closing a one deal. For example, first meeting booked, the proposal was sent, the demo was completed, pilot was launched. This is a great example on how data can be used to identify those gaps and drive the engagement. Jason, any comments?
No, Rodrigo, I think that was an awesome use case of how data and reporting can be used to drive performance on a specific team. Like that's cool. The only thing I might add is like that there are where I'm a data-driven individual and we're a data-driven organization. And we also know that it's really important for people leaders, HR leaders to be able to show the results of the recognition programs. And a few things we're launching right now. One is an ROI report. So I don't think anybody else is doing this in the industry right now, but people leaders will be able to pull up and see a report, and they'll be able to see since the launch of the program, how much is Bucketlist rewards, increased employee engagement, or lowered voluntary turnover. And we give you hard numbers, and it's driven on the feedback of real employees. And the intent of that is a lot of times C-level CEOs, CFOs, they're like, we invested in this initiative. What's the ROI? And this question comes up more and more as companies scale. And so you'll have a report that you can show to your executives and be able to say that not only is this a program our team loves, but this is like the true impact we're having on our culture here. And we're having a big lift. And some of the results we're seeing are significant, lowering turnover 10, 20, 30, 40%, driving up engagements to similar sorts of numbers. Another really cool thing we're rolling out is industry benchmarks. So if you're a frontline organization or a healthcare organization, we can share participation rates at other similar healthcare organizations and bundle together between these reports and our amazing customer success team. We're also constantly providing recommendations on how you can take your current program and make it better over time. So those are just a few of the really cool things being released now or coming down the pipe in very short order. That was really cute. I saw a little solitary heart float up when I talked about our customer success team. If I should give you a little heart too there, Rodrigo, where's my reactions? I'll figure it out later on. So
It wasn't me, by the way.
was it you? Oh, it wasn't you. Okay. Awesome.
Amazing.
Oh, there we go. Woo. Okay.
All right. I think that's a great segue into one of our last questions here for today. So let's talk about the super exciting things that are coming up. So would you like to share any new features that are in the works at Bucketlist? I know we've mentioned a few throughout, so maybe we can skip those ones and just share the new ones that are coming up and maybe a bit about the why behind why we're creating them. Anna, do you want to take this one as a product person?
Yes. It's exciting times for Bucketlist as we are strategizing and building into the growth phase. We have some amazing initiatives planned on the roadmap, and something for the very near future is external recognitions. External recognitions is basically coming from the concept that nobody should be left behind in the world of recognitions. Just nobody should be left behind unrecognized. What this concept is, one of the most meaningful forms of recognitions doesn't always have to come from within inside a company, right? It can come from people your employees serve. So think about a nurse being thanked by a patient's family, or a support rep being recognized by a customer. So these are all powerful moments, but most companies don't have a way to capture them. So that's why within Bucketlist, our ongoing initiative, which is the external recognitions feature, is all focused about. It gives the customers, clients, or a community member or anybody a simple and secure way to recognize your employees and make sure that those moments are integrated directly into your existing recognition system. So that is a feature that I'm personally excited. I know Jason is super excited, and so many people that I floated this idea with our external customers are also extremely excited. So stay tuned for that feature. It is going to be an early Q3 release feature. One other initiative that we will be eventually working on is enabling triggered awards through strategic partnerships and integrations. The idea is basically to automate recognitions based on key business events, whether it's a sales milestone or a learning achievement or a partner engagement moment. We want to make that trigger automatic. We are building towards system where recognition can be seamlessly triggered by integrated tools. Like I'm sure every customer of ours will be integrated with the CRM, with the LMS, with the HRIS, or with the partner platform. So the right people are celebrated the moment something great happens. No manual steps or no missed moments is where we are headed. And what this means for Bucketlist as a whole, it means Bucketlist everywhere. We want to be integrated in all of the tools that our customers are partnered with. So we meet them at their point of convenience, and we are able to trigger those recognitions and awards directly from that place. The belief is this will help teams scale recognition across business units and even across ecosystems. So those are the two exciting initiatives. Of course, we have more, but these are the two exciting initiatives that we will be working in the near future.
No, that's awesome because we talk about how, there's platform fatigue, right? So the fact that considering integrating and meeting people where they're at, I think is just so important in today's world of work. So it's a problem that, trying to solve. And the second thing I want to say too is that, the external recognition, new concept is super exciting. There's so many times I'll go to like a restaurant, for example, server will give me the most, like the best service ever. Like they're so nice, so lovely, so kind. They really elevate the experience. And I mean, I can send them an email, send the manager an email. I can write like a Google review maybe, but I feel like you just never get that instant, like that gratification where that person, got my words from Google review and can share with the rest of their team. So no, I think that's a fantastic feature that has so much potential in helping people feel like the work that they do matters.
Yeah, so true, Becca. So this time when you go back to that pizza place, maybe you can use the external recognitions form to give recognition to your pizza server.
Exactly. Rod or Jason wants to go next?
I can go. The survey feature, I think it's a big one for us, and it's actually already available. If you ask me what metrics actually matter for our rewards and recognition program, for the program performance, the ones I pay attention to are frequency, reach, sentiment, and meaningfulness. Frequency reach are hard numbers that you can get to, but the sentiment and the meaningful part, it's often hard, because there's not a number that will tell you exactly what the answer is. But with our new survey feature, we can dig even deeper, looking at indicators like job enthusiasm, desire to quit, daily motivation. So this helps answer the questions: is the program actually moving the needle on engagement? Are the employees really happy? So these are the sort of things that I'm very stoked for this new feature.
No, sentiment analysis, definitely a new one. My early days as a community manager had a forum, and one day I was ambitious and I said, let me download all of these comments that are made in like the last month. Let me do some sentiment analysis. So I manually went through each line. And so no, like what you're talking about before, automation and AI, it would just make getting information like that so much easier. And it's so valuable to get that, qualitative, making quantitative data out of qualitative data, I think is amazing. Anything you want to add, Jason, before we head
No,
off?
I think the team nailed it. I was just like, it would have been interesting to see the sentiment analysis when from your community work, Becca. I bet you would have got a lot of awesome. She's awesome. She's positive. She's delightful. No, I honestly, in terms of like what's coming next, if I was to, I think Anna and Rodrigo again did a great job communicating what I believe are also the most exciting features. I might just my only commentary would be that the trigger rewards, as Anna was saying, is like an insanely powerful feature. I see the next steps for Bucketlist is we're becoming more of a motivation platform. We're here to unlock the potential of teams and individuals. There's this really great quote from Charlie Munger, and it says, "Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome." And our platform's fantastic for providing incentives and recognition, both matter. And we're able to plug in your favorite technology and drive the behaviors that matter most to a company. So if you want people to complete a survey, you're able to help us. We can help reward that behavior. If you want more people to complete a security training or safety training, we can also incentivize that. So I think we have a really exciting future for Bucketlist. And I think our current customers and future customers are going to be on a fantastic ride when they work with us.
Amazing. Sounds like lots of options and innovation with recognition are coming up. So just to wrap up and for everyone to get a few key takeaways, I think the prompt I would love to give for each of you is what's one innovation you think will change the industry over the next 5 years? So what is the one thing in your mind that's like the most important that people should be watching out for? Rod?
Yeah, I can start. I believe we're heading toward a future of hyper-personalized recognition where technology doesn't just help with automation analysis, but actually understand the individual behind the work, like myself, right? Imagine a system that knows your values, your background, your role, even your preferred tone and communication style. It knows whether you appreciate a quiet, private thank you or a big public celebration, and it adapts to deliver recognition in a way that feels truly personal or coaches somebody to do it that way. It's something that's not templated, that's actually tailored. So the next leap in our industry is blending the emotion with the technology, building tools that will help us scale appreciation while still honoring the human connection, which I believe it's the most important piece in any program out there, especially related to HR. And yeah, the balance, when we get that balance right, that's where the real magic happens, having that mix between emotion and technology.
Love that. Anna?
I will double down on what Rodrigo said. It's the predictive recognition, like your with more analytics and AI, your platform is going to read through all of that behavioral patterns and give very meaningful recognitions, surface those moments of recognition, fill those gaps. Something that still has the human touch and it's not a very automated recognition. So I'm looking forward to that. And that also falls under the umbrella of our Coach AI that Bucketlist will eventually in the future want to venture into. So to me, the future is all about predictive recognition and with some interesting gamification in it. Yep.
Amazing. Jason, last but not least.
Yeah, I think ultimately all the features we've been talking about today is going to allow recognition to solve more pain points for customers. And like what I've seen work again and again and has helped companies become really successful is like if we understand a company's pain points or goals and we can help them achieve those goals, that is a true win-win. And I think as we look into both the short term and long term, we're going to be doubling and tripling down on how we can help companies achieve their goals. And again, whether it's to like lower turnover, drive up engagement, or maybe it's to increase sales with a really compelling and well-prepared sales program, as Rodrigo mentioned earlier. I'm so excited about helping companies do that because yeah, it's all about adding value and making people feel appreciated.